Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have perfect pitch phenomenon, Delroy Pitchy White in our studios. Stay tuned for more after the intro. Delroy Pitchy White, welcome to the Music Hacks Network.
What's going on, man?
Very intriguing discussion we're going to have here this
Oh, Lord.
afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I know you are a well sorted after musician based on your abilities. Both when you were here in Jamaica, know that you are abroad. So we're gonna have a little bit a discussion, and then we actually go into your abilities that a lot of persons who would be interested in.
Right.
All right. So Delroy, how did you actually grow up?
So, I was in a place called little town called Central Village in St. Catherine. Yeah, I was raised in a very stern household. My parents, Sharon Fox White, my mom, that's my heart, and Stanford Delroy White. I got the name from my dad. That's my rock. Um, yeah, they're my parents as well, and I have my sister and so forth, and my aunts and uncles and all that type of stuff or whatever not. And so, but they were very strict. You know, you
Mm,
couldn't do certain things. You had to. I wouldn't say strict in the sense of being abusive, but very stern as in disciplinarian. You can't come to that house and do anything, and there's not a consequence.
right.
You know, and so forth. You know, and then my mom was very. My parents are very spiritual. She's very spiritual. You can't. Uh-uh.
So you had to attend church every
Church
Sunday.
boy. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Um, was it at that time that you actually discovered to play the music?
Yes. And at that time, I started at like around age 4 on drums.
Mm,
My mom wanted to play the drums, but she couldn't play. My mom, she has the ear for music, like she'll know when something is out of tune.
mm,
My dad, he plays guitar. He has relative pitch.
okay.
Uh, he wanted to play the organ and he wanted to play the keyboard and the piano at one point, but he could he only can play little one, three, four, five chords. um, but he couldn't play it as affluently like as to get it passed down to me. Um, yeah, so that's how you know, and then let me see, age 4 I started on the drum. But the thing is, before I even like, my mom told me this, and I remember as a child, she said like when I was very well, I was about like 3, 4. She said every time like if the music now play right, it's like me twitch my head or something. Just it just
Oh,
don't like. And then from there, she noticed that like okay. So she looked at my dad. She was like, "Hey, Stanford, you know, you can kind of different when you start to the music, but you keep on it. The drummer, like if the drummer miss a beat, it's like me twitch my head, or me just look serious, or me just look upset, and
okay.
so forth. And then from there, my mom and my dad picked it up, and we were like, you know what, we need to kind of see how just watch and see life pass when then I grow old and so forth. And then from there, age 4 started on the drums, and then age 8 on the piano, and then age 12 on the organ.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's how some things start picking up, and then at one point, my mom, like, I think she said like sometimes I do this with my ears, like I just listen, like it just I once I hear it, I'm like, mommy, you hear this, and my mom like, yeah, he's
oh,
inclined.
okay. So was it at that time that you got the alias Pitchy?
No, not yet. Not yet. That was later down um in my teens. When I used to play for um my church, PFW. Bishop Noel Jones was my bishop. He was one of the bishops that I played for. I had the esteemed high privilege to play for him. I mean, that's a celebrity bishop right there. I mean, hey, that's like TD Jakes right there.
Right.
Uh, but that's when I kind of started to find out like people around me like the late mother Neely Marshall, God bless her soul. And then brother Calvin Wilson, he was the minister of music before
Okay.
his son Calvin will brother Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Before he took over and so forth. So I was in like convocation, like we have convocation, Bishop Jones and the other bishops and overseas, and bishops district locally come in, and you have different choirs, country choir from St. Elizabeth, country choir from this, then you have the whole PFW international, national choir. I'm sorry, and so forth. So what happened was that every time in the testimony service, like somebody starts sing a key, and it's like they say, "Yo, F sharp." So, like,
Okay.
but I'll just say in front of the whole orchestra, and everybody like, okay. And when they plays and then final, it's like, okay. So, Mother Neely Marshall, she looked at me and she said, "You got perfect pitch, man. You got perfect pitch." And she used to call me PP. Like, what's going on? That's up here from like whatever she called something like that. And then Brother Wilson, that's Dale's father, he was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. So he spoke to my mom and then whatever now. But I noticed at my home church, like I used to be telling people, hey, you're in the wrong key. Hey, you're not playing that right key. It just must sound right. Them not singing at that key, them not singing at that key. So I'm gonna say so. But yeah, that's how I found out. And then from their convocations and then concerts, and then at the time I went to I went to Spanish Town primary school at the time, heading to St. Catherine High School and so forth. And yeah, it was a lot a transition. Life, starts to transition. It's a new chapter of your life, and so forth. So
Okay.
um, yeah.
So how skilled were you at the organ at that time? Were you being tutored by anyone?
No one. And that was the thing too. And that was what amazed my mom at the time, because she was like, sorry about that. Like she was like, you need to start, taking up the organ and so forth, whatever not. Because, she noticed I started the organ by myself. And with the Hammond is a very technical instrument. It's a very technical instrument and so forth. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was just, you know, yeah, I mean, self-taught. I started learning the drawbars each by each. And then what tickled me with the organ that I loved that much was the Leslie, because you like to press the switch and then it start having that motion sound. You hear the horn start spinning 360, a Doppler effect, and then you hear the bottom rotor going whoop, 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 and so forth. So from there, that's when. So my dad used to well, it was funny. He used to buy them little small play keyboard there, but he bought for my sister at the time. And then I took it from her because she didn't really use it. I mean, just sit down at the house and I start play. And then after a while, then he bought another keyboard with a Casio or something, like some Casio, one of them keyboard there. But it had an organ sample on it where it had the modulation wheel and the pitch bend and all that. All right, so where I got my materials from was like my mom and dad, because they worked in the U.S. and other countries. My mom and dad, they used to buy like a lot of gospel CDs, like choir CDs, GMWA gospel workshop, Music of America, different artists, Shirley, Caesar Dorothy, with all them type of people there. Simon the Supreme Angels, Mighty Clouds of Joy, etc., etc., etc. FC Bonds, all them people there. Milton Brunson Choir, Tremaine Hawkins, James Cleveland, all that. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to listen to a lot of choir music, and then because how I was raised in the Apostolic Church, they sing a lot of hymns, so old school stuff, you know. So that's how that's how my ears started get trained from then. Listening to different choir music, listening to different, you know, riffs and runs, and the piano, the organ, everything, the drums, all that type of stuff.
Okay, so how much more advanced were you than your peers at the time?
Regarding in the church,
Yes,
or
the kids that were around you at the time, were you far um, above them in terms of your ability to play?
um At first, when I moved on to organ and so forth, I was very nervous. I was very nervous. I didn't want to play for nobody in the church
Really?
because yeah, very nervous because my he was a minister of music at the time, Elder Mark Harrison. He one Sunday, he gets up off of the keyboard and tell me say, it's your time now to start playing at the service. So I'm go up on the pulpit and then it's like I start getting nervous. I remember that Sunday, Sunday, I think it was a Sunday morning or something like that. And at the time I was on a and I think it was an Ensonic or a Ensonic keyboard or something like that, or one of them keyboard there. And then that's when I got very, very nervous because me I play out for the first time. There's a lot of people up in this church, and I don't want to play the wrong note or
Okay.
play the wrong chord, because my parents was like, you have to go hard. You cannot go. And my mom and dad said, there's no shortcut to music. So, so I'm like, my mom is right at the back of, I know where exactly she's sitting at the church. And then my nephew's on his guitar. So I'm like, okay, and at the time, I think it was Jermaine Clark ended up on drums. And then sometime Brother Joseph, he's the pastor of the church, Christ Apostolic Church, and so forth. He was like, he play the keyboard and play the organ. We had an organ. We have a Hammond A organ at the time. So I was actually going on a real organ, on a real Hammond organ.
From that age, you were exposed from that age.
Very young. So I went on actual. As a matter of fact, I will say this not boasting, but it actually is. It is what it is because we have the oldest Hammond A model organ in the Caribbean.
Oh.
Yeah, we have the oldest one. It's a Model A. Was made in the 30s, 35. Lawrence Hammond. That was the first model. Not to stray away from that, but that's the first model Hammond A model that was made. And so forth.
And you were actually playing that from a tender age.
Yes, start the switch and flip and we had an original 122 RV speaker. I remember that, Leslie, like it was yesterday, because it had a preamplifier up where the horn is and have the amps, the 122 amp at the bottom with the rotor. It didn't have a cloth on it, but it had a wooden rotor. It was a brown box. It was a 122. Our old original stock 122. So at that age, I'm like, that's a grown man's instrument. Playing all that type of stuff, it's just like, whoa. And then after a while I just start liking it. And then I was like, yeah, I need to, start. I left the drums and I left the keyboard at one point, not too much, but I went on organ, and that's where I just start pushing.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go now into your teenage years, because I'm very interested now to find out how you discovered that you had perfect pitch. So what's the story with that?
I knew I could pick up something with, I knew I had a gift, but I just didn't know at that time. I was like, hey, you got perfect pitch. Hey, you got, what I'm saying? You got this, you got that. It wasn't at one point. I don't want to sound like I was depreciating the gift. I just didn't know. What what it was. So I was at one of the convocations and so forth. And then at the time, I noticed like them saying, oh, what's that song? Redeem, B flat. Hallelujah. So when them started singing, me say, yo, B flat.
Okay.
And so forth. So me say, you once I'm singing, it's like I just started to talk. Like I just like my gift was just manifesting. So I was like, okay, hey, B flat. I don't ask me how, I just know. Just know it's a B flat. I don't see colors. I don't smell nothing. No, it's just like I just hear. It's like my brain is like a photo. It just hears the sound and it just tells, hey, this is B flat. Da 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 da.
Okay.
So convocation after convocation, concerts after concert. People was like, yeah, you got perfect pitch. So I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. I knew it was something, but I just was like, hey,
Right.
And when I went to St. Catherine High School. Because I played for All Together Singing Choir. We came second in 2007.
In 2007, wow.
Yeah,
I think I remember that competition, man.
Yep, we versus Vauxhall High School and but I place at Cornwall College.
Cornwall
They
College.
came third, and we came second, and then Vauxhall they came first.
Right.
And so we did do some called the Blinking Bus or some of the side. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mr. Patrick Earl was the he was a dance teacher at the time, and he was head of the performing arts. That's what it was. Yes, and then Mr. Kevin Williams, which is now the I think he's the head of the performing arts. I could be wrong, but I think he is right now. He was my music teacher
Okay.
and so forth. So yeah,
Uh,
man.
how,
Yeah, you were saying
how
now.
were you accepted at that time with your gift? Because I know that can be a bit daunting for
Mm.
other people, especially you persons who are not able to hear things, and then you probably might be a little bit more annoyed, and you correct them. How did they accept all?
I know there was jealousy going on. I mean, it was like, hey, it's not my fault. I had this gift. Listen, take it up with God. Because my thing was like, hey, I'm just here to help. Because if I hear something, I have to tell you what it is. It just has to be like, you know. It was kind of a challenge because they couldn't hear what I'm hearing, so it was like conflicts. But my teacher, he knew how to groom me and so forth, Mr. Kevin Williams and so forth. And he was like, he had to teach me differently from the other guys
Mhm.
and so
Right.
forth. Yes.
Can you explain to us how he taught you?
Yeah, man. Like at one point, I guess at the time my ears was so sensitive where I'm easily distracted if I hear something go off.
Mhm.
Like if I'm supposed to do like scales and say, for example, one of my classmates, Paul Henry, if I'm listening to the stream or the broadcast, you probably pick up. Remember that day when he played the bass and I tune the bass while I play my scales, I'm have to stop. Like it just don't sound right. It
Mhm.
just sound like a sin, like somebody committed a crime or something. So so those are the stuff my teacher was like, and then with certain things, I would pick up certain things, just more advanced, like with the theory part, and then the relative minor. I depended on my perfect pitch at the time because I was like, C sharp, da da da, E, da da da, all that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
All right, Pitchy, were you involved with any gospel groups at the time or any ensembles?
Yeah, I a lot of groups. Some of them I don't remember because it's years. One of them was God's Time. Marco Jones was the leader, and then I had my own group called Radical Weapons
Okay.
at the time. Before that was before I changed residency, living in the United States.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was in a lot of groups, and then at the time, now going back into high school days, but I remember playing for different gospel artists like Joan Fleming, Sister Scully, the late Sister Scully. At one point, my cousin Jermaine used to play for her. By the way, Jermaine Ferguson.
Oh, German.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was a lot of artists. It was a lot of artists I've played for. Catalyst Crew, the one with the locks. What's name again?
Radix.
Radix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Played
played
for
for
him.
Radix?
We played for him one time on our concert. And somewhere down at St. Catherine, somewhere down at Woy, somewhere in a Kidston, somewhere. Somewhere. All I know, I went to a lot of places. Some places me even gone don't remember.
Okay.
And so forth. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what style of music were you into at the
I
time?
was mostly black gospel church as in I mean apart from the black but mostly church, hymns, traditional. I guess I was right in between the church
Hmm.
and the going into the modern worship, or you call it the CCM or all of that and
Okay.
so forth. And in that time I had to kind of adjust with my playing because especially when I was majoring in piano and organ, well, organ at the time, and then both. I had to learn how to, especially flowing, the spirit, flowing the service, and all that type of stuff. The chords and so forth. Because with CCM, you can't. We call it white people music. White people worship music. You can't, on black cards. Just like reggae. You can't. You have to play straight reggae. You can't play no all that. So just the principles and so forth. And how to dive to transition from there to worshiping the talk music and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Pitchy. Let's now look at how you transition now into the Edna Manley College of Music.
Oh
Right?
Lord.
Let's hear your experience here. How do you actually got the interest to wanting to go to Edna Manley?
Well, my dad was like at the time, so he say, now where you want to do with your life? That was
Okay.
the first thing. I didn't say. He said, I time now for you to find occupation or something. But at the time, at the time, I did tell him I wanted to become a music executor, and that was leaving high school and so forth. So at the time, Mr. Williams told me about Edna. So we went to Edna one time. He took me to Edna, and that's where perfect pitch. That's where everything started going off. Fireworks. Everybody was like a Wade Johnson, all them people. So I met Miss Wallace. That's a lovely lady, Miss Alison Wallace.
Yes, man.
And yeah, man, that's one of my real respected lecturers, Edna Malley. And I spoke to her the first time. So I was in my I think I was in my uniform at the time. I think I was leaving catch and go. Something like that. My teacher was there. We'd go on them carry the school bus and we'd go over there and talk to Miss Wallace. I'm saying, Miss Wallace, hi, da. So come on, go tell her, say, me a perfect pitch. So she carried me in the room. She carried me in the room. And then she started playing. She said, what note is this? I'm going to tell her, bam, bam, man. And she said, okay. And she play another one. And I think she played a chord. And I was telling her, like, hey, this is that. So she called another. I think she called another teacher. And then a student hear it. So everybody said, yo, we wanted a perfect pitch. Somebody end or something. So and so, okay. I mean, hey. Until at one point, it became like a big crowd. Yeah, everybody was just like, it was just crowded, all type of musicians, Mr. Weird, Yellow, just all of them. And then Ramesh, I think Ramesh, he passed away, God bless his soul.
Yeah, man, Ramesh, keyboardist.
And, yeah, man, yeah, him, Elliot, what's his name again? And he played the guitar there, man. I know Kenroy. What name? And him dark, him short. Him play for Ramesh. Then they in the group.
Ellie. It was Ellie.
Yeah, man. Him same one and so forth. And then remember me in another room and wallpaper place in different room. Then they came in a Miss me room. And then like it actually disturbed the whole school. Like everybody have class and everybody and I was like, okay, I mean I was just laughing because I'm like, I didn't know it was that popular. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, let me see. And then they came to this room, the final room. I think it was the next room beside. Oh yeah, it was the room where I used to do classes. Where Noah Dexter was my lecturer. He passed on. God bless his soul.
Mr. Dexter passed on.
Yeah, he passed on based on what I heard. No, yeah, they had this service at I forgot that church on when you're going near to it's you can take that road. It's near to Emancipation Park there. So what that church name, man? Somewhere around there. So
yeah.
But, you can take that road there and go up to Emancipation Park and go straight to Edna.
Okay, right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. So it was that room Wade at the time. I think Wade in a third year or something like that. Second year or third year, final year, whatever that. And it's like every room them carry me to me, I tell them the card and the key and all that type of stuff. So they carry me to Wade. I guess Wade was the master. I guess master student.
Wade was the master at the time.
Wade was the master student at the time. And he play one card there, see man. So then I'm say, yo, and what? Because me ear like no, when me hear the card just sit up like man just taking. It's like the man 10 finger them just multiply like my 20.
Right.
Like my press all. I say what am I just hold. That's what me know from there. So me know say me hear too much frequency. I kill me too much. So that's what me kind of kneel down. I mean, I call out the card and sing. And me say, yo, da. I think me saw two at the time, but the way how him voice it, it make it very hard. And I think it's 2 or 1 note me miss out at the time. Was it 2 or 1? Yeah. But then in play it and then me say, oh, I don't know that name.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember the chord that he was playing now? Like, can you?
It was a C. It was like a 13. Like he did it wasn't only a 13, but he did a 13 on a 11th or something him do. But in voicing, man, his voicing was just like what is that? Like,
right.
It was just different though. So, and then I think because he cut up the chords enough,
okay,
so it make it more dull. Because when he played, you know, the whole the musician everyone they say, yo, what that? So me start, I say, yo, Mr. Go eat, Mr. Go do one more time, Mr. Eat, and Mr. Call some keys and so forth, and then him kind of pick up, say, hey, you know, I could actually spell out the chord, the notes, as in going into the chords, if that makes sense, and so forth. So yeah, it was crazy though. But not that's the first time I had a headache, because I heard like, and then the thing is with that piano there, it wasn't tuned like that, so that was another right, you know, so. All right. So after that, you know, Miss Wiley spoke to my mom at the time, and then she said, Miss White, you have a son where you have a perfect picture. Him I tell her just pick up anything. So you know, and then I started PQ at the time. I got the reality check because I was exposed to a different type of world where you have different musicians, different personalities. And when I said personalities, I'm not throwing shade on nobody, but when I personalities in the sense of what the play is different from what you're used to in the church. You see what I'm saying? The color is different, just the expressions, everything. So, and then at the time, you know, I think I was the only one in this school, yeah, that had perfect pitch. Um, so my problem was when playing on those untuned pianos. That was a major problem. Whoa. Because it just is not on the 440. So it used to bother me a lot because it's messing with my tuning, and my head is like, hey, it's supposed to be in the middle. It's not supposed to go on the positive side. It's not supposed to go on the negative side. It has to be in the middle.
Okay.
And so forth. Because I listen. I don't know if it makes sense, but with perfect pitch for me, like I have the absolute, because you have absolute, you got passive. Absolute is the one that is where a person can hear something without keyboard knowledge or keyboard assistance or any of that. So I can tell you the note without somebody telling me, hey, that's A, what not. Right. Even if I'm on an organ or not, or keyboard or not. And you know, passive would be different. Besides that. But yeah, it was just different. And then I heard the trumpet I played at one key, and then the violin room, then I wanted that key. And then it's like one time I said, no, man, let me know come at this at school, because it's too much I want. Like it's too busy. It's too busy. Like me just need to hear quiet, like a place to be quiet, like quiet. Too much. All then me or somebody I do voice training and not the key there. Yeah, man. So when we didn't really too like was when everybody at rehearsal in different keys, because my ears just like it was just like a suction cup. You just hear anything. It's like a vacuum. It's just like, hey, this in that key, you know, and then it's like it's taking up a lot of frequencies, and then my head just can't take no more, so I just have a headache. Like I can't even focus. Right. Because I mean that's how I at the time
was trained like, hey, if you hear something, you should say da 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 da. And when I used to practice my scores at the time, and then I had to do my scales and so forth, it was a problem because I'm like, why am I hearing this? I don't need to hear you.
Yeah. Right.
Like major problems. Every night I go home, headache. Like my mom was like, "What wrong?" My mom was like, "You look like Frankenstein. Well, what happened to you?" You know,
Yeah.
because I was used to playing with myself. Even if I was playing with a different orchestra, it was different still. But it's like everybody was playing together. But being into a school of music where you have different people playing different pieces and you can't disturb them and all that type of stuff. If that makes
Um,
sense,
all right.
you know.
Pitchy, I'm going to ask you to do a few activities now,
Mm-hmm.
just to display your ability.
Oh God.
All right.
Um. Yeah. All right. So, like for me, me, that would be an A,
Mm,
right? I do not see colors like some people who say they got perfect pitch. I have a friend who has perfect pitch, but he has the passive. He doesn't have absolute like me. So when like last year when I used to play at this church, he be like, once I hear something, they once if he has his guitar, he can find it.
okay.
But without it, it's like he can't like he will hear it, and sometimes he'll be right, but sometimes he's just like he's just wrong or something like. But like me, I like I'll just say oh whatever not. So like sometimes when I used to teach my choirs and so forth,
Mm,
when I'm doing warm ups and so forth, that's C, that's the middle C. So like when you do da 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 da, yeah. So like all those type of stuff, I used to do it by myself without the piano because I know what C sound like. I know what all keys sound like.
okay.
So sometimes my choir looked at me funny at one point because I had a missionary in the choir. She's like, "So you're not going on the organ, minister?" I said, "No, I don't need the organ."
Right, you're a walking
Yeah,
piano.
yeah, because I like doing that because at the end of the day, it keeps my ears in tune.
Okay.
Because at time I used to do, and I'll tell you where it got troublesome. Working with churches at the time. After I left Edna, then I transitioned. Um, in the states.
In the States.
you know, yeah, working in and this is my 36th state. I currently in Fayetteville, North Carolina right now.
Okay.
Working with different choirs and different musicians and so forth. And then I had and see, I would tell people, I'm to these musicians, some of them Jamaican musicians. For these are the better roses. Um, some of these churches, I mean, you have some churches that have some good singers. You have some churches that you just can't sing.
Right.
Them just sound
Right.
horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like somebody touched them in the wrong place. Like, why go on this? you know. But yeah, it was a challenge because at one point, dealing with different age groups and different mindset of people, was kind of a challenge. And when you tell them that they're in the wrong key and they keep on singing the note, it's like it becomes annoying. You
Right.
know, you know. So, like for example, Missy, I think the first note I'm missing was a B instead of C. So let me correct myself on that. So this is C because that's B. I'm sorry. So C. Yeah. Let me see if we can do something like um. mm, mm. So like when I give my choir certain patterns or intervals or something like that, like warm ups and so forth, instead of them doing like la 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 la, I don't do that. Sometimes I'll do like you know what I'm saying? So they're jumping from one note, to that and all that type of stuff.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, who are some of the persons that you said you're living in North Carolina, right? No, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are
Yes.
some of the persons that you are working with in terms of gospel musicians, like people who are into performance?
Right. Okay. So I've been around. I'm working around musicians, and I will say I've played for bishops here that two, I think two or three celebrity bishops currently. Bishop Noel Jones at the time, and Bishop Sheard, and they had Bishop McCormick. I had worked with Bishop Blackwood. I worked with oh yes, and what's his name too? Um, he died too. He's from PFW. He was on the Bishop Noel Jones. He was a famous bishop too. I forgot his name. Bishop Wright, Bishop, one of them. But with a lot of bishops I work for. But my musicians that I work for and work around with, I've worked around musicians who play for Tasha Cobbs. Currently my guitar player, he plays with Tasha Cobbs. TJ Wright. Michael Ross, Elder Ross, he plays for Clark Sisters. He plays for Bishop, the late Bishop Ronald Brown. A lot of people he has worked with. A lot of
Mhm.
people. So last year we went to this church. We had like a lot of seasonal musicians, singers, and so forth, trumpeters and so forth. I have musicians who play for Ty Tribbett here,
Okay.
and so forth. Yeah. So and I've worked around Slim and the Supreme Angels, and also I had the opportunity to work with and play with Brooklyn Tabernacles organist,
Okay.
Dr. Jonathan.
All right. So, do you think that the fact that you have perfect pitch, it makes it easier to blend in with these high
Hmm.
class musicians?
Yeah,
Okay.
because once I hear where they're going, I already know what time it is. Like my brain's like, okay, click, click, click. You
Okay.
know, um, yeah. So
So how do they behave around you, knowing that you have perfect pitch?
yeah, well, some a very few of my friends that I know from the top of my back that hand that has perfect pitch. It's not so much of a like hey problem or whatnot because we just sing. We just I mean, I was in a band of, I was in a band, 8 to 9 piece band. We had three keyboard players. One, I was the organist. We had one on main, and then Jordan, that was Jordan Townsend. He jumped on organ sometime, and then I go on main keys, sometimes. And then, because I served as a minister of music at that church. And then we had, what's his name? Brandon. He was auxiliary keys. Then we had James on drums. We had Patrick on bass, and then we have Jamario, so forth. So we had three persons in the band that had perfect pitch. Sean
Wow.
McNeil, and they're worse than me. They're more they I thought I was miserable when it comes down to perfect pitch. They will hear something and it's like they have to stop playing.
Wow.
Like they will look like we will look at each other like, hey, you heard that? Like 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 one time I think it was in the middle of the service and somebody was singing. I was like, whoa. And I was like, what the hell? What that? So I went out for my accident and the whole bunch started to laugh. Not even necessarily coming like we are singing, it just don't make sense, you know. So that's how Shaman Neil he did his bachelor's in I think he's in education at the Fayetteville State Fayetteville University. He did his music here. Um and TJ, yeah, well he didn't do music, he's at Methodist University, but yeah, that was a plus for me because I could relate. We all
Mm.
could relate. All three of us could relate. Because sometimes we had conversations that's like perfect pitch to perfect pitch. Say, hey, you
All right.
know, you hear that? No, how does it affect you in your way and in my way and in all that type of stuff? You know,
Are the ways similar or different?
they work. As in regards to perfect pitch, we do agree. As in, if we hear the note, it's that note.
Okay.
Um, No, I have seen something happen before and it happened again. It happened in Jamaica and it happened here. I don't know what it was, but it's like one time when I was in Jamaica, I was around somebody that had perfect pitch and um somebody was singing a note and I know it was F.
Mm.
And he picked up and he said, no, it's in E.
Oh.
And when we check, it's like them starting at F and then dropping at E, or the person starting at E and then dropping at F, if that makes sense.
Oh.
It's just weird.
Oh. So both of you heard it at different times, probably.
At different time because the pitch was just like
Mm,
altering.
right. Right.
So
Okay.
once I hear the dominant, and the thing is with me, once I hear the dominant note, like F, yeah, that's F. Like I'll say, yo, that's F because it's just strike right on the 440. And then once you drop from it, then I have to stop because I'm like, my needle is like, okay, are you between E or F or something like that? Because it's not on the 440. It has to be pronounced. It has to be on the 440. So once that dominant note, and then when I came here, Me hear somebody I sing a note and I said, "Who that?" Me say, "Hmm." I play the chord and it matched to it, and then when it dropped, then the person started dropping, and then it's like,
Uh,
it was just it's just weird. I've
okay.
seen that happen, and we were like, all of us was like, no, he was saying no, it's E. I'm like, no, it's F.
Okay.
So we like, okay, I don't know what you hear, but I'm like, you hear it wrong.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just weird.
All right. This question has been a phenomenal question over the years, and
Hmm.
I don't think anyone has reached any sort of consensus on it. But can perfect
Mm.
pitch be learned, or is it a
Mm.
gift? What's your take on that?
For me, and I know I have some rebuttals. Some people will rebut me. I think it's a gift,
Mhm.
because I do now. I will say this. I do believe you can train your ear. In train your ear as in like to identify if the chord is a major or minor, diminished, augmented, all that type of stuff. I do know you can develop your ears, but I say because it's a gift because I hear beyond the pitch. I'm hearing frequency and pitch. If you really get really technical with it, that's where the physics, the chemistry side, the mathematical side of music comes in, because pitch comes with a certain frequency, a certain tone. That's like that.
Okay.
That's B flat. That high note that I heard. You know, mm, you know, um, so that type of stuff. Yeah, I call it. I would say a gift. I would not say, because I have a friend in Florida. He's an organist too. He has perfect pitch, and me and him got into it because he said, yeah, it can be developed, and I say how, because with perfect pitch, your memory has a lot to do with it too.
Mhm.
So remembering all those notes, remember all those frequencies.
Oh,
It's a lot. Perfect pitch is way beyond like, hey, me just telling you, hey, is the in that key. Is that you are the keyboard, but you're tuned in a 440. That's why perfect pitch persons who have perfect pitch, they don't like to play in with records. Like we have play with old record, and the old record them just in our
right.
off key tune. It just can't make you see what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah.
like, like for example, I'm gonna play this right here. Say this one of my favorite songs. Um so this is in E flat. Now this is when the pitch start changing. This is on the 440. It's called Any Tune.
Mhm.
So if I start going into the negative, watch this. Let me see. You hear that?
Yeah.
The pitch is not going like this. It's fluttering.
Right.
It's in E flat, but if I heard that, I'll be like, okay, that would sound like either E flat or D to me, more like D, because you're flattening the note. But I would like my mind would be like I would be uncertain. All right, watch this. Let's go to the positive part. This. Oh, it sounds like you're going into E,
Hmm.
but it's like the pitch just fluttering.
Right.
But it's in E flat, but it's in the positive of E flat. I can't. My mind can't. I can't listen to it because it's just like why it sound like that?
Yeah.
Just first of all, I would say I'm grateful for my gift, because with my gift took me places where I didn't even imagine. Because with that gift, I could compose without any form of music.
Hmm.
I could sit down and notate something because I know what it is, the notation, da 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 da. I didn't need the keyboard at the time because especially if I'm doing choir conducting. When I used to work for Church of God in Christ at the time, I didn't need any, um, I didn't need any just I didn't need any assistance from nobody on the keyboard or the organ. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. I mean, you can, and I will say this: I've there's someone I've known as well. He has perfect pitch, and he tunes pianos.
Hmm. Do you think a person with perfect pitch needs any form of theoretical training?
I believe so. Yes, as in regards to the theory side, yes. Theory does apply to discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to take theory into practical.
Right.
Because when I teach my choir, I don't only go by practical. I let them know. See, this is the thing I noticed with some of these choir directors. I ain't smack. I ain't going. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. I'm not. I ain't trying to be shady, but I mean, correction is correction. When I teach my choir or choirs or ensembles and so forth, I go theory. I do basic theory so they don't only be up on the choir on Sunday or whenever. They just singing the song because they sing. No, they sing the song because hey, they singing this type of note and this is the type of note. This type of note gives you this type of sound, gives you that type of feel, the nature
Okay.
of the music. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
And it's very important as a musician that you start training, or if you have a choir that some of the choir members may not be musically inclined, it's best that you start educating them so they know what this does. Because sometimes when you sing certain notes to them and they don't understand, like, what is that? What is that about? You know what I'm saying? They don't understand their place in the choir department, as in sopranos, altos, tenor, and especially if you have like sopranos, first soprano, alto, then you split alto, second alto, then you have tenor, then baritone. They don't understand. Oh, this is what he was talking about. Oh, I'm right here. So it's just like, for example, let me see. B flat, G, F, E flat. So the person who's singing F could be an alto or a split tenor. You know what I'm saying? So they
Mhm.
would be like, oh, I know what he talking about. It gives off this type of tone. So that would be an E flat ninth at
Okay.
ninth chord. I
Yeah.
just fill out the chord. So B flat, G, F, E flat.
Hmm.
So the F is what would ring all kind of, whatever not. Or E flat, G flat, F, E flat. That's an E flat minor ninth. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
The fact that
something
you
like that.
that is great work, Pitchy man. That is great work. Now, do you find yourself because you have perfect pitch? Does it sort of make you become complacent and don't practice, or you still
Oh
go
no no
hard in
no no no
practice?
no 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 no! I have to practice, and no, and I will say this too. And I think back to answer another part of the question too. Perfect pitch. I wouldn't want to say perfect pitch versus relative pitch. Perfect pitch boosts me to listen more
Mhm. Okay.
because when I hear new stuff, it's like my ears is open. It's like I get more my vocabulary library starts to expand and so forth because it pushed me to play. And then with here, I mean, in the United States, it's like I don't want to say like I'm competing, but you're in a market that is a lot of competition. And I'll tell you one thing: these younger cats here, you got to step up, practice, because if you don't practice, you ain't gonna get no shows. I promise you that. I can tell you that, especially from an organist, you
Right.
know, you know, yeah, you have to bring it, and you're not bringing it as a sense of where pride comes in, where you become proud, but you have to step up the game because I mean, like when you working with RTs and so forth, just like when I had my organ at the time with Viscount and with Perfect Pitch, I'm great. That was another door for me because when I used to do tweaks on the organs, the pitch, drawbars, and so forth, that was another like, oh, I'm hearing this. Oh, this sound good to me. Boom, boom, boom. And at the time, there's a guy from Viscount, my company, the I think he was the American marketing director, or whatever. Now he reached out to me, and one of the guys I got endorsed, he got endorsed, and so forth. He was like, he took one of my settings because I use my ears, tweaking like the chorus vibrato effect and all that type of stuff. So those type of stuff, your ears have to be good tweaking organs, like the pitch. It have to be like you have to be like on that because if you don't know organs and you don't have, I mean, and it's you know,
All right. Very interesting, Delroy. Very,
yes,
very interesting stuff. All right.
yes.
But before we go, I want you to tell us what's in it for you in terms of the way forward. The next 5 to 10 years. Where
Mm.
where do you think you will be?
Well, so far I have currently speaking, I am now an organ representative for a couple dealers here in
Mm,
the United States. I do sell organs, to different churches and so forth. Um, I'm planning on making my own school.
mm.
And I'm planning on teaching organ. I want to open an organ shop and so forth because I noticed like the Hammonds here, the vintage Hammonds, they're not serviced, and there's some other stuff going on. Possible endorsements.
Wow, that would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah, man. All
So
right. So Delroy, what if people like us want to reach to you? How can we reach to you?
you can contact me via email whitedelroy@yahoo.com.
Mm,
Um, Also my YouTube, I have a YouTube page, Delroy White. I have a Facebook, Delroy White. White Organist 25 on Instagram. And I think that's pretty much it. I also about social media. Is that funny right now? I think I need to delete some. And that as well. I did made a perfect pitch group on my Facebook page. And so forth. It's a closed group, so we have discussions with other people that have. It's not open for the public. It's just only. It's a very strict group for person that have perfect pitch because we'll do different assignments and all that type of stuff.
okay. Fair enough.
Um. Mhm.
All right, Delroy. This has
Yes, sir.
been, yeah, I really enjoyed this discussion with you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It
sir.
has been a very fruitful interview, and I am
Yes, sir.
already looking forward to the next one. And take care.
Yeah, man. Blessings.